Good evening, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time tonight, I am reading from the course as it was completed by Bill Thetford before any major changes were made. And as a result, if you're reading from the first or second edition of the course, you will notice differences. If you find that I am reading something that is not in the book you're reading from, just stay in the same place and it will pick up. Don't begin flipping pages or you'll lose your place. Okay. In the world, not even the body is perceived as whole. Its purpose is seen as fragmented into many functions, which bear little or no relationship to each other, so that it appears to be ruled by chaos. Well, in the world. In other words, when you're not experiencing the kingdom of heaven as the kingdom of heaven, but as the world, you are experiencing everything from a place within yourself that experiences no union with God. In other words, from an independent, autonomous place. This causes the absolute harmony and unity of reality, the kingdom of heaven, that's the only thing confronting you, to appear to be fragmented. Your experience is fragmented into you and not you, everything else. And it causes your body to be experienced by you as made up of fragmented parts. So that the growing of your toenail seems to have nothing to do with the skin on your elbow, or your kidneys can seem to decide to function at odds with the rest of the body because it has its own capacity to cooperate or not cooperate, and so on. So in the world, in other words, in the frame of mind in which you're not seeing the kingdom of heaven and you're not experiencing your real identity, not even the body is perceived as whole. Its purpose is seen as fragmented into many functions: digestion, breathing, elimination, assimilation, and so on. Its purpose is seen as fragmented into many functions, which bear little or no relationship to each other, so that it appears to be ruled by chaos. Guided by the ego, it is. Guided by the Holy Spirit, it is not. As I said earlier, there's only one thing for you to be experiencing, and it's reality. Depending upon the teacher you are listening to, it will either appear to be a material world or the kingdom of heaven. Well, likewise, guided by the ego, the other teacher, the body appears to be ruled by chaos. But guided by the Holy Spirit, it is not. One and the same thing, just like The only thing there is for you to experience is reality, the kingdom of heaven. There's just one thing, experienced in two contradictory ways, depending upon what is providing you with the perception of that thing. If it is the ego, it appears to be chaotic. If it is the Holy Spirit, it is seen and experienced, it is seen for and experienced as what it is, a communication device, the means to extend your function. Again, guided by the Holy Spirit, it is not ruled by chaos. It becomes only a means by which the part of your mind you have separated from your soul can reach beyond its distortions and return to the soul. We have discussed at some length the fact that your present sense of yourself is a small, circumscribed part of what you infinitely are. A small part which you're saying is you. Separated and bounded off from all the rest of what you infinitely are. And all the rest of what you are that you no longer experience as you is called the Holy Spirit. Now, it's important to understand this because when your body is guided by the Holy Spirit, it becomes only a means by which the part of the mind you have separated from your soul, from the rest of what you are, can reach beyond its distortions and return to the soul. In other words, become reunited. Now, if the purpose of the body is to be the means of communication of truth, who is it going to be communicated to? What is it going to be communicated to? Your brothers and sisters and your world. So the means by which you come back into your sanity, into your whole-mindedness, is through the extension of truth as you're letting it be revealed to yourself, to your brother, and to all of creation, the world. Again, you are not going to wake up by going on an individual journey home to God, a journey that has nothing to do with your brothers and sisters. There is no private means of waking up through a private connection and devotion to God. Your devotion to God will only be genuine and real when it's a devotion to extending the acknowledgement of what is true about your brother to your brother publicly. Not secretly in your mind, but in your words and your acts and your deeds. The conscious expression of affection to each other and your world. Now, the ego's temple, the material body, thus becomes the temple of the Holy Spirit, where devotion to Him replaces devotion to the ego. Now remember again, the Holy Spirit is not some infinite entity side by side with God, separate from you, that you are subserviently reaching out to from your humble smallness. The Holy Spirit is nothing more than your right mind. When devotion to your right mind replaces devotion to the ego, what had been seen as the ego's temple becomes the temple of the Holy Spirit. Your body becomes the illumination of, the manifestation of, the visibility and tangibility of your divine presence. And that function of your body was set into place by God when He, for lack of better words, thought you. Because everything that God creates is experienceable. And therefore, to the mind that formed it, it is visible, tangible, and experienceable. Continuing, healing, wholizing, healing is the result of using the body solely for communication. Oh, what do you mean? Instead of what? Well, instead of defense. Instead of as a means of building yourself up. Instead of as a means of exercising authority and control over other parts of the infinitude of your being that's called creation. Healing is the result of using the body solely for communication. Since this is natural, it heals by making whole, which is also natural. All mind is whole, and the belief that part of it is physical or not mind is a fragmented or sick interpretation. Interpretation. Your body is constituted of ideas. They are not matter. And the energy of those ideas is spirit, which means the energy of any part of your body is spirit. It therefore is not physical. But it does exist as an idea or as a collection of ideas which are real and tangible to the mind that formed them. And they are therefore eternal as the mind that formed them. To see it otherwise is to be indulging in an interpretation that is being overlaid upon something that is real. And if you insist upon your interpretation, you block the experience of what it really is. Continuing, mind cannot be made physical. But it can be made manifest through the physical if it uses the body to go beyond itself, to go beyond the body. By reaching out, the mind extends itself. It does not stop at the body, for if it does, it is blocked in its purpose. Now think about it for a moment. If you are feeling threatened, if you are feeling vulnerable, you're always feeling vulnerable as a body. And so you spontaneously withdraw your natural inclination to extend, and you shield yourself. You let your body be the boundary that you protect because you think that the boundary of the body is the boundary of you. When that happens, the mind does not reach out. It reinforces itself in a picture it has of what it believes it is, which is a body. And extension stops, and your natural function is blocked. Continuing, a mind which has been blocked has allowed itself to be vulnerable to attack because it has turned against itself. How has it turned against itself? It has refused to perform its function. It's refusing to be what it is, which is communication. Continuing, the removal of the blocks, then, is the only way to guarantee help and healing. Help and healing are the normal expressions of a mind which is working through the body but not in it. The fact is, if you will, any of you will sit there for a moment, the fact is that you will realize that your body is an experience you're having in your mind. Not one of you has had the sensation or any approximation of an experience of your mind being in your body. You can create a picture of that in your mind, thinking that your mind is in your brain within your skull, but not one of you have had such an experience. Everything that is going on in your life is going on in your mind. It's going on in the experience of consciousness, of being conscious. If the mind, continuing, if the mind believes the body is its goal, it will distort its perception of the body, and by blocking its own extension beyond it, will induce illness by fostering separation. And I would go further than that and say not just by fostering separation, but by confirming it to you in your mind. So when you get in the state of defense, where you're unwilling to extend love, when you're unwilling to embrace and include your brother, with the goal of, to the best of your ability, recognizing what is divinely true about them in them, you're in a state of blocked function. And when that happens, it's not comfortable. And that act of self-protection and self-defense, reinforced by an armor that you pretend is there at the boundary of your body, you begin to experience a body that is chaotic. Why? Because you're standing opposed to its function. Because you're standing opposed to your function. You turn the water on in your hose and then run over the end of it with your car and stop so that the passage of the water can't continue. And what happens? Why, it begins to back up and it begins to stretch, and obvious tension is observed until you can tell that it's almost at the point of blowing, exploding. When you block your function, you create dissonance, tension, chaos, and suffering in the form of illness. Continuing, perceiving the body as a separate entity cannot but foster illness because it is not true. When you make commitment to what isn't true, you are engaging in embodying or attempting to embody what isn't true. And you cannot do that comfortably. A medium of communication, your body, or any medium of communication, will lose its usefulness if it is used for anything else. If you take a woofer from your speaker and try to use it as a dish to serve potato salad in, it will lose its function, won't it? Because it has only one function. That one function isn't a limitation. When that one function is what it's used for, it can reproduce any kind of music, any kind of sound, infinite expressions of harmony, without limit. A medium of communication will lose its usefulness if it is used for anything else. To use a medium of communication as a medium of attack is an obvious confusion in purpose. And in the attempt to use it that way, you will create dissonance for yourself. It fosters illness. To communicate is to join, and to attack is to separate. How can you do both simultaneously with the same thing and not suffer? Can you imagine what Beethoven's Fifth Symphony sounds like when it tries to come through a mound of potato salad? How can you do both simultaneously with the same thing and not suffer? Perception of the body can be unified only by one purpose. You see, it's part of the simplicity of singularity. a newcomer says, "Oh, you mean the only thing there is for me to do is glorify God? That's the only thing there is for me to do?" It sounds like a limitation. It would be like the speaker saying, "Oh, you mean the only thing I can do is give evidence to music? I can't be a bowl and hold potato salad? What a limitation." But its function isn't to hold potato salad. It isn't to serve as a bowl of water for the family pet. And if those things are put in it, the speaker will lose its capacity to perform its function. Yes. You have only one purpose, and that is to glorify God. And what did we say last week? Glorifying God means seeing the truth about your brother so that your behavior, your acts, your words embody the acknowledgement of the fact that you're experiencing a divine event where your brother is. And it's a holy experience, meaning that it fulfills your reason for being, because it is your function to see and recognize God, that which is real with a capital R, in each and everything. In that singularity of purpose, as I've said before, the conscious of experience of everything as the kingdom of heaven opens up to you. It's no longer hidden from view, covered over by the definitions you have overlaid upon the kingdom of heaven. So it's not a limitation to only do what it's your function to do. And it's not a limitation to use your body for only one purpose. When you open up to letting the only purpose you have and the only purpose your body has be the only thing it's employed for, you will experience the revelation of reality. You will get it all, not in fragmented parts, but unified. And in that experience, you are part of that unity. Again, perception of the body can be unified only by one purpose. This releases the mind from the temptation to see the body in many lights and gives it over entirely to the one light in which it can be really understood at all.